Hey y'all, I just got home. It's like 11:35. I'm about to eat dinner, believe it or not. Comedian schedules are weird. Like we eat dinner at midnight, we wake up in the afternoon. It's crazy. But I had an amazing night. I had a comedy show. So much fun. Thank you, Lisa Sunset and Pretty Funny Women, for having me on your show. Or Pretty Funny People now. Anyway, y'all thought I forgot, but here I am with my review of Terror Train. Now, the first one I watched was from 1980. It was starring Jamie Lee Curtis. And I gotta say, it was like typical 1980s slasher film, but it actually had a real story to it. David Copperfield was in it. He was doing magic. And pleasant surprise for me, spoiler alert, if you want to be surprised, don't listen any further. But Vanity was in that movie. And I love Vanity, Denise Matthews. I was like, hold on, is that Vanity? So I was super excited to be watching the movie. And she didn't have like a tiny part. She had like some lines. She was like playing one of Jamie Lee Curtis' friends. I was like, okay, Vanity. And it's so funny because even though I knew it was her, at the end when the credits roll, I wanted to see her name. Do y'all do that? Like when you recognize somebody in a movie, you watch the credits so you can see their name. And I didn't see her name there. And I was like, it doesn't say Vanity. It doesn't say Denise Matthews. You know what it said? Dee Dee Winters. I did not know that Vanity went by Dee Dee Winters. So that was really cool. I felt like the ending could have been a little bit better, but it was kind of funny the way it ended. So I wasn't mad at it. But I really thought that Terror Train held its own as far as 80s slasher films goes. And one of my friends told me that she's like obsessed. She was obsessed with that movie back in the 80s. But it wasn't really a big movie back in the 80s, but it's become a cult classic now. And I see why it's a cult classic, because it stood the test of time. And it was actually an interesting movie. So then I noticed that there's a remake of Terror Train from like 2022. They remade the movie. And I was a little nervous, like, oh, Lord, here they go remaking stuff. It's probably going to be stupid. But yo, it was not stupid. And I was shocked. Okay, some of the differences were, all right, the main character, her name was Elena. In the first movie, that was Jamie Lee Curtis. In the remake, it was an actress I've never heard of before. I forgot her name, but she's an excellent actress. Like, she was really, really good. So I see why they booked her as the lead. She's actually a black girl, or she might be half black and half white. She looked like she might have been mixed, but a black girl played the lead role in the remake. She was freaking phenomenal as an actor. And I have to say, the remake really, really stayed true to the original. Like, a lot of the scenes that were in the original, they duplicated them in the remake, but the difference is the remake is more modern. So the remake had like iPhones and, Wi-Fi and technology, whereas, of course, the 1980s version didn't have that. But for the most part, it was like the same movie. Like, they really stuck to the script and made it very, very similar. And the things that they did change, they changed for the better. Believe it or not, I like the remake a little bit more than I like the original. Even though they were very, very, very similar, the remake just was a little more modernized. And I guess since I'm a more modern person, I liked the modernized version better. But I like that they pretty much stuck to the script. But there were some changes that were like necessary. And I was happy that they made those changes. I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to spoil it, but y'all definitely got to watch the original and then the remake, because you're going to be happy with the changes. There was probably like one little thing I didn't like that much, the way they changed it, but I understood why they changed it the way that they did. And then after the remake, they had a part 2 to the remake. Now, the part 2, I won't say it was trash, but it wasn't that great because it was just not believable. Like, the first 2 were believable, like how they got into that predicament, why they were in that predicament. But part 2 was kind of forced. Without spoiling it, they end up on the train again. And how they end up on that train again, there's no way in hell in real life that girl would have got back on that train. So the situation never would have happened. Like, a lot of it was stupid and it didn't make sense. Now, it's not the worst movie that I've watched since I've been on this little 31-day horror movie challenge, but I will say that it was kind of dumb and not believable. But at the same time, it was still worth watching. It was good enough, you know, but it wasn't dope like the first one. I thought the first one was kind of dope. So 1980s Terror Train, I'll give a 7 out of 10 ghosts. 2022 Terror Train, I give an 8 out of 10 ghosts. And part 2 of the modern Terror Train, I'll give a 5 out of 10 ghosts. That one wasn't that great, but it was good enough. But I recommend Terror Train. That was a pretty good movie. I'm staying on the horror kick. I'm not BSing no more, watching no little thrillers or whatever. I'm going to stick to the horror movies. Next, I'm going to watch Trick or Treat. Believe it or not, I have never seen that movie. I don't know why I've never seen it. I've heard of it. I've seen Sam, the little, I don't know what the hell Sam is. The little tarp bag, potato sack, head ass thing that be going around. But I've seen the character. I've heard of it, but I've never seen the movie. So tonight I'm going to watch Trick or Treat because people keep saying that that's a classic. That's a classic Halloween movie. Some people watch it every year. So I'm going to watch it and see if I'm going to add that to my list of movies that I watch every year.